December 27th, 2018, and we will hear testimony from Saul Spierer, facilitated by his son, Alan Spierer. I'm delighted that you all could make it on this kind of holiday week, and delighted also that Barbara Wind could be with us. As you may know, with great lamentation for us, Barbara announced her retirement earlier this month, and we said our farewells, and I thought I wouldn't be seeing Barbara for a little while, but here she is. And
I wouldn't miss this for the world, because this
wonderful.
is a special occasion, and Saul is terrific, and he's been wonderful for the council, so I'm glad to be here.
So we're so pleased that you can be here. We will be at some point getting a new director of the Holocaust Council, but in the interim we have the services of Jamie Karras, who's doing a terrific job and is here with us staffing the camera.
We hope.
I do want to make two announcements of upcoming events. From Memory to History, our photo exhibit of Holocaust survivors in Metro West will be opening again on February 7th. And we'll be launching that with a reception, and I hope you'll all mark that down, February 7th, the beginning of the new exhibit. In addition to that, January 28th, another date to write down, will be the date on which we'll be traveling to the UN for its annual observance. We will have a bus leaving from here and also leaving from the JCC in West Orange. That's January 28th, and you'll be getting emails about that within the next few days. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Alan Spierer, who is the son of Saul Spierer, who will be interviewing his dad. I understand that your family is here, so I'd just like to introduce them. Okay. That's your brother? And your name? David? David Spierer. And
Daughter-in-law, Abby Spierer.
Abby Spierer, daughter-in-law. And
Granddaughter. Granddaughter.
a granddaughter named
Michaela Spierer.
Michaela. Saul Spierer and his wife, who couldn't be with us today, live right next door in Leicester Housing. Alan lives only 15 minutes away in West Orange with his wife Abigail. There she is. He is a proud father of 2 children, Jessica, who will be going to law school this year, and Michaela, who you just met, and who is actually also videoing this on her own phone. It is a freshman at George Washington, will be a freshman at George Washington University in Washington. Alan is a senior vice president at UBS Financial Services and founder of the Northeast Financial Group, an institutional consulting team and wealth advisory group. He has been with the firm for 25 years as a senior retirement plans consultant. And now I'll turn the program over to Alan and his dad, Saul, and Alan will introduce his father for us. One additional announcement, and that is the book that will be referred to today is available in the back. You'll see them. I Beat Stalin, I Beat Hitler, and it will be available for sale after the event today.
Actually, if I can make a small correction. Sure. The book, if anybody would like, will be our gift to you, one for family, and hopefully we'll all take one. Can you hear me, Tesla? Yes. So thank you all for being here and how important it is to remember. And it's more important than ever, as the years go by. My dad turned 95 this past May 1st. And recently was made aware of the Shoah Foundation's Holocaust Remembrance Program, and hopefully we'll be here next year after a conversation at the Shoah Foundation where my dad might become a hologram, able to speak to schools and children and future generations. Continue helping us all remember what happened. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my dad, and then we're going to have a little question and answer. Dad's life story spans decades, continents, dictatorships, wars, and of course the Holocaust. As a child, my dad was known as Shlomi, and his book is called I Beat Stalin, I Beat Hitler, My Story by Shlomi Spierer. My dad excelled in school, in Cheder, following the footsteps of his father, my grandfather, Moses Michael Spierer, and his advice always to learn, because that's something that no one could ever take away from him. He studied Zionism, like many Jews, thinking about one day emigrating to Israel. He studied Jewish history, and like his father, became a champion chess player. In 1939, Poland was divided through a peace pact between Germany and Russia. The Russian occupation of his Polish town, called Horodenko, led to his father being sent to jail as a Jewish bourgeois. And unfortunately, we never heard from my grandfather after that. In 1940, as Jews, but actually not just as Jews, because many Polish non-Jews also were sent to a work camp that they were told was called a punishment camp. And at the time, my father went to this work camp with his mother and his sister. And like the camps in Germany, the ride was long, arduous, and in a boxcar where he and his mom and sister were there for about 6 weeks. When they got to the work camp in Siberia, which was in the woods, they worked endlessly, cutting down trees, were treated pretty severely, and if they got up and went to work that day, they were rewarded at the end of the day with a piece of bread and some hot water. During his 6 years in Siberia, he found ways to survive and continue his education. I'll talk more about that in a few moments. Today, my dad can still speak not only English, but Hebrew, Yiddish, Polish, Russian, Ukraine, and Czech as well. At the end of World War II, he spent 3 years in a displaced persons camp before finally emigrating to the Bronx in New York in 1949. Arriving in New York City on Saturday, November 11th, my dad found a job as an auto mechanic on Monday, November 13th, just 2 days after arriving in America. When Dad decided to start dating, he realized greasy fingers might be a detriment. So he became a cab driver. In 1955, he met my mom, his wife, Rosalie Spierer, a native of Switzerland, and they've been married as of this past November 13th for 63 years. My brother is here, my wife, my daughter, Michaela, and Jessica, who is couldn't be here today. Saul's memories of Hitler, Stalin, living in the woods and the struggles to survive culminated in his autobiography, called I Beat Stalin, I Beat Hitler, which has just been published by Amazon Books. And as I mentioned, it's available here, one for family, after lunch. And if you have time, I'm sure my dad would be happy to autograph it for you. So with that, I'd like to talk with my dad and have him talk with us about life in Horodenko. Dad, can you tell us a little bit?
What would you like to know? I went to school, I went to Hebrew school, I went to Polish school, I went to Ukraine school, because in 1938 until 39, a Jewish kid couldn't go to college. You know, it was called gymnasium. First of all, it was very expensive, and even if you could afford, the parents could afford to send you, it was a quota. Only 2 or 3 Jews per town were accepted in the Polish gymnasium or the Ukrainian gymnasium. So in 39, when the Russia came in, I was able to register to go to the Ukrainian gymnasium. I was a good student, not excellent, but for the average. I was good in school, so I took a test and they accepted me. And then the war started again in 1940 between Germany and Russia.
Before we get to the part of when the war started, can you tell us a little bit more about daily life in Horodenko? Were there a lot of Jews in Horodenko? What did the kids do for fun?
Horodenko was a town approximately about 10 to 12,000 people. I would say about 3,000 were Jews. Mostly they lived in town, in the center of the town, where they had their shops and their little stores where they sold their merchandise that they produced. I usually went to public school, 1 year of gymnasium in the Ukraine. I learned Hebrew. Matter of fact, I speak almost fluently Hebrew, Russian, Polish, a little bit Czech, Ukraine. And, life was normal.
How were the kids treated, Jewish kids treated in school?
The Jews, they were separated between the Jewish kids and the Gentile kids. For instance, when we had exercise and we played football together, if there was a fight and the Jews were winning, so the teacher used to separate. If the Gentiles used to win, they never bothered to separate the fights.
And then what kind of work did your family do?
My father was a tinsmith. We had a little store in the house where we sold silverware, pans, pots, you know, hardware. And he also was a tinsmith. During the spring and summer, he worked on roofs. He covered the roofs with tin.
And what did he do for fun at the time?
He played chess when he had time. And made sure that I go to school and don't bother to play around too much.
How did he teach you chess then?
He used to play chess every Saturday and Sunday. So I used to bother him. He said, forget it, I'm not going to teach you until you learn. I shouldn't beat you in the first 3 moves. Eventually, he didn't beat me in the first 3 moves. And I became a pretty good player.
Was there, I recently became, Mom is Swiss. And after 4 years, I recently became a Swiss. I'm just saying, I recently became a Swiss citizen, dual citizen, with my daughters. So we love skiing, at least most of us. But Dad, did you enjoy skiing back then?
Yes. But I didn't have skis, what was sold in the store. I had to make it my own. I made them from old barrels. I was pretty handy with my hands.
And what happened in 1939?
In 1939, Russia invaded Poland, the part where I lived. And they said we didn't invade Poland. We came in just so Germany should invade Poland. But it's close to our borders.
And after that,
His
yes.
father.
Couldn't understand the answer.
Oh, say that again. What happened in 1939?
In 1939, Russia and Germany invaded Poland. They divided half of Poland to Germany, half of Poland to Russia.
And how long until, what happened in that 1 year before you went to Siberia?
The Jews were restricted to certain businesses or to certain work, but the Germans and but the Russians, the part where I was born, it was Russia occupied. So I went to school. I went to 1 year to the Ukraine gymnasiums. I learned Ukraine. I mean, I spoke Ukraine, but not scholarly. So it was not so bad.
And what happened to your father?
My father, the Russian, arrested him and put him to jail because they said he's a bourgeois. He had people working for him. I mean, people, he didn't have strange people. His nephews worked with him. You know, when you worked on a roof, you needed more than one person to hold down the material that covers the roofs. So they called him a bourgeois. And they took my mother, my sister, and me. They sent us out to Siberia as punishment. And my father, they put in jail.
Did you ever hear from your father again?
No, never heard of him.
So who was the Russian NVDK? Right? NKVD.
NKVD means Народный комиссариат внутренних дел. It's like the FBI. They were the police what dealt with the people in the country. But they thought they are traitors or something like that. They took them, sent them to Siberia and so on.
And Dad, tell us about the trip to Siberia in the cattle car and what happened when you got there.
It came one afternoon, on Saturday afternoon, I think it was. But I know it was before Passover, because we had matzo back. And they put us in the cattle cars, and we were there for 2 days sitting in the cattle cars. There were 82 cattle cars put together, and nobody was allowed to go down. And it took us over 3 weeks, more, about 6 weeks. I was in Novosibirsk. Novosibirsk was the capital of Siberia. I knew where we were, and I also understood. I knew Russian already. I spoke pretty fluently. I was able to read and to write. And when we came to Novosibirsk, we traveled another 2 weeks, and then they dropped. It was like the end of the railroad. They dropped us off, and we walked for about 2 weeks until we came to the forest, and they put us in camps.
And can you describe camp life?
Camp life was, you got up early in the morning, and if you went to work, they gave you, keep your talk as hot water, and your ration of bread. But if you didn't work the same day, they did not give you your ration.
Were you able to find any extra food?
Yes. We found trees. I don't know the name of the trees, but it was a white tree, and it had a shaft, but it was very sweet. So most people who could find those trees had extra food.
How did you get the sap?
With a nail or with your nails, you drilled a hole in the tree, and the trees, it ran out from the tree. I don't know the right
Sap.
shaft.
Birch trees.
Birch trees. Birch trees, thank you. So what happened one day when a Russian truck broke down?
There were Russian trucks coming and pulling out the lumber. So a Russian truck pulled in and he had a flat tire. I was on the tree cutting the trees, and I supposed to speak Russian, but he spoke Ukrainian and Russian, and nobody wanted to answer him to go to help him. So I figured, what can I lose? I'm young, I'm strong, and I volunteered.
What happened next?
So he said the driver should come down from the tree and help him. I said, I cannot do that. He has to talk to the soldier and get me permission to get down. And then finally he got permission for me to go down and help him. It took us about 2 weeks to check out the truck with the lumber, and to fix it. So the first thing I learned how to fix a tire. Hot fix it. It's like vulcanize it. And I figured if I learned that, maybe after the war, I'll come back to my town, I'll become a mechanic, be able to do things. And I got permission for me to come and help them. So first we took the tire apart. It's not like in America, you put it in a machine and you press it and it comes apart. You had to use a big sledgehammer with an iron to beat it apart from the tire, from the rim. And that took a long time, but finally I managed it, and I learned how to fix a tire. You took out the tube, you blew it up, and then with your hand you looked for the hole. And if you couldn't find it, you put the tube from the tire in water with air, and in the water, it came to the water, it used to bubble. That's how you found out where the hole is. So I learned how to find a hole, how to fix it, how to vulcanize it. And the smartest thing was what the Russian soldier did, the driver, is to vulcanize the tire, the tube. How did he vulcanize? He took an old cylinder from a motor, and he put in racks with kerosene, turned it around, upside down, put it up against the chassis, and then he took the tube, cleaned it off with a file, and put in some glue, and he jacked it up against the chassis, and it stood there for a couple of hours, and it vulcanized it. So this is also something I took into my head. That would be something good to fix bicycles, tires, footballs.
What did you tell the driver after you finished fixing the tire?
I told him he should ask for permission to make me a helper. I said, I'm young, I will learn how to drive, and he can sleep and rest.
You were a teenager then, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Just a few years after bar mitzvah.
Correct. But there it doesn't go so fast. Until he got the nerve to ask the nachelnik, that means the man in charge of the camp, the commandant, to give him permission, I should go. So finally, he asked me into his office, and he says, oh, you are here with your mother and sister. I said, yes. Where did you learn how to do that? I said, I didn't learn how to do that. I said, my father is a tinsmith, and I learned to work with all kinds of tools. And I said, if I needed a tool, I learned how to make the tools. And finally, after about 3 months, he gave me permission to work with the driver.
And what did he tell you before your first ride?
He told me, if I think of escaping, he said, forget it, because the first thing we'll kill your sister and mother, and then we'll go look for you, and we surely will find you here, Spierer, because there's no place to hide.
So you were driving between camps. Can you tell us about that?
Between camps, we used to haul lumber to the sea, and from the sea we used to haul food for the camps. So On the way, the driver taught me how to steal this food. You know, we used to open the sacks and take off a little bit from each sack and sew them back to see that nothing was touched. And that's how I got extra food.
What did you do with the extra food?
When I came to the camp for my mother, the extra food, the food what we stole, I ate, but the food from the rations were I supposed to get, that I used to give to my mother and sister.
And how long was that experience driving with the truck driver? What happened next?
I don't remember how long, but I would say at least 2 years or more I was driving. And the driving wasn't bad because when it snowed, it was windy and it blew the snow off the road, you know. If you found a tree, so it made a, it gathered there. So the roads were pretty clear.
What was your job with the driver? What did you have to do first thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, I had to take a pail of water. It was a big Zeus, the name of the truck. It was an 8-cylinder motor. I had to warm up the motor, the oil, bring the hot water, start the motor with a handle to crank it.
How did you warm up the truck? It wasn't like just turning the car and letting it idle.
No. You built fire under the motor until the oil boiled. And the hot water you brought to with you, but you couldn't put in the hot water in the radiator because if the motor worked with the water cold, it froze. So if it froze, it broke the radiator, you were punished right away. So you had to learn to be very careful to put in the water in the radiator.
Did you eventually go see the commandant again?
Yes. I told him I want permission to go with the driver all over. I said, he's old, he falls asleep while he drives. I say, I'm young, I learn fast. And finally he gave me permission, and he made a special pass for me. And he said, remember, you run away. The first thing we do, we shoot your sister, and then we shoot your mother. And then we'll find you.
So the trucks used to break?
Yes.
What did you do when the trucks break? Did you have a solution?
I found a solution once I can't think of the name. It's a part of the driveway where it turns the motor turns it, that's it, universal. And that broke. No matter how many times they soldered, it didn't help. So one day I was cleaning up the barn from the man that works with steel, with the blacksmith, and I saw old tires, very old tires, and the old tires had steel wire in them. The new tires didn't have it. So I came up with an idea, if I put together 2 pieces of tire and I bolt them together, they will work instead of the universal. So I introduced that and they gave me an extra piece of bread.
But you didn't tell them, you didn't want to tell them directly, right?
No, because I was afraid if I told them directly how I do everything, somebody else took credit for it.
And after you fixed the tire, the commandant was impressed. What happened then?
He made me a helper of the driver.
But after that, did you ask to go to school?
Yes. And I went in the morning to school and in the afternoon in the factory.
But where was the school then?
In Semipalatinsk.
So you left the camp. The commandant gave you permission
to go to school and to work in the factory.
Tell us about life in the school.
Life in the school was very good. They fed you, they gave you a clean place to sleep, and you worked just, and I learned. And I was very eager to learn because I knew already how to read Russian, to read, to write. And I don't know, but I'll say I wasn't a stupid kid because whatever I read, whatever I did, I made sure I remember how to do it again.
Did they let you write to your family, to your sister and mother?
Yes, they let me write, but who had the address? Didn't have any address. Where am I going to write? So you wrote to the town.
Did you ever hear back?
Yes. So after a couple of years, I wrote back, and finally came a letter.
So tell us, there was another problem with the factory that you were able to help with?
The cook, that was universal. The tires themselves, if the two broke and they couldn't fix it anymore, I came with an idea when I saw the tires, the old tires with steel wire in them. So I pressed them together, 2 or 3 tires, and put them on the wheels, and the doors were able to ride.
So Dad, when you were in the school, working in the school in the morning, factory in the afternoon, you helped them be more productive with the workers.
Oh yes, they used to fix the motors, everything went to the front. So they had one man working one motor. The motor had 4 cylinders, or 6, and you had to schlafen, I don't know the word, inside make it very even, so the oil doesn't get burned very fast. So I came up that instead one man works on one motor, he can work on 2 motors at the same time. The only took he has to turn around.
So you gave that idea to the head of the factory?
Yes, and I didn't get the reward.
But at some point, the head of the factory, you asked him to bring your mother and sister?
Yes. So I said, I did so much, can you bring my mother and sister here? They should work in the factories, like cleanups and so on. And after a couple of years, they brought them.
So this all happened between 1940
And 46.
and 46 and 45. And what happened when Stalin declared the war over?
They gave permission to all the Polish refugees, they can go back to Poland.
And what did you do then?
I applied, and I waited almost 2 years to get permission. And then we were on the train, we heard that when they rode into Poland, they took off the Jews and they killed them. Not the police or the soldiers, but the Russian, not the Ukraine militants. They had a special name, but I can't recall.
So at that point, you were able to leave the factory in Siberia
And go back to Poland.
and go back to Poland. Did you stay in Poland?
No. I came to Poland and I went to look for a job as a mechanic. And I would say I was a pretty good mechanic because I was able to rebuild any truck, the transmission, the motor, anything I could fix. And if there was no part, I was able to make it.
So you stayed in Poland, but you didn't stay very long.
No. I couldn't get a job. I went for a job to the Polish people. There was a lieutenant who says to me, "You are Jewish." I said, "Yes." "You go on Spierer?" "Yes." He said, "You are a good mechanic?" I said, "Pretty fair." He said, "Why don't you go to Israel and fight for your country?"
So where did you go next?
I went to Szczecin. This is a town in Poland. I got a job there. I worked for the government because there was no private trucks or cars. Everything was government owned, And then I went to the west side, West Germany.
What did they have in Germany at that point after the war?
What do you mean they had that?
Displaced person?
They had camps, DP camps, where they put the people who were left after the war. They put them in camps and they fell there.
The Americans.
America fell.
And could you get a job in the camp?
Only inside in camp you work. You couldn't work outside. They did not hire. The Germans did not hire you. And when they had a big factory from trucks in Kassel, that was the name of the city. And I was a pretty good mechanic because when I went to learn and to do things, I said, I'm not learning for them. I'm not doing the work for them. I'm doing it for myself. Whatever I learn. I remember my father what he used to say. He said, whatever you learn, nobody can take it away from you.
You were in Kassel?
Yes.
That's where I was.
I was Hofgassner, Kreiskassel.
It's amazing.
And your choice then, people were going to try to go to Palestine or America?
Yes. I was on the list to go to America, was on the list to go to Palestine. I spoke fluent Hebrew already because I learned Hebrew when I was a kid. I finished 6 years of Hebrew. So, but it took a long time, everything.
Do you remember Hayes?
Yes. The Hayes used to help the people get visas to come to America. You couldn't come to America if you didn't have a relative with a visa. They were responsible for you to give you a job, and you would go to the government for help.
Hayes was the Hebrew immigrant
Hebrew immigrant?
aid society.
Yes.
Still exists. Where was his mother and sister?
At that point, you were all together. Where was you left Siberia with your mother and father. Eventually they...
And my mother and sister.
Mother and sister. Eventually they were allowed to leave the Siberian work camp and get to the factory after my dad proved himself to the factory owner.
Did they go back to Germany? Were they together in Germany?
In Germany, yes. Yes.
With one word, I remember my father used to say, whatever you learn, nobody can take away from you. They can everything take away, but not what you have in your head. So he said, no matter you think it's useful or not useful, learn. One day will come in handy. And it did work out that way.
That what happened one day, you met an American officer at the DP camp in Germany?
Oh yes. When they brought us to the DP camp, the officer from America had a Jeep, and he had a flat tire. And no tools. So I said, I can fix it. He said, no tools. I didn't speak in English. I found a pipe and with a hammer, and I made a wrench. And we took off the tire, we fixed it, put it back, and he remembered me. So later when he came to the camp, he made me a driver and in charge of the repair shop.
He gave you, how did he reward you, besides making you a driver? You had some helpers?
Yes, I had people working, but I was in charge because I knew how to fix the trucks and all that.
Well, this is two separate stories. When he helped with the tire, he had a pipe, just a pipe, and he hammered it into the bolt, so it created the bolt. And then there were people, and he got people to help them actually lift the car to change the tire. So the American commandant, or not the commandant, the American officer gave him a carton of cigarettes, and he gave 5 to the 5 guys that helped, and he kept 5 for himself, which was telling for later in the story. So when you were in the DP camp and the American officer, you started working for the American officer, what did you do for him?
I don't remember, I think I was a driver. I used to take his mother shopping to the Russian zone because I spoke Russian. And the Russian zone had fresh fruit all the time. And, and she liked me because I was bargaining with the keepers, She said, I don't let him get away with anything. I mean, it was a native tongue to me,
So, But you left the DP camp eventually, you got tired working in the DP camp, you had a choice. Were there some people that were looking to go to Palestine?
Yes. There were kibbutz, or they used to take people, single people like me, and they put them in a kibbutz. I had, in a village, we worked in the village. Then one day I saw the guys who were in charge took away the money, and they went away to America.
You were not in Israel in a kibbutz. These were some organizers in the DP camp that
Right.
wanted you to emigrate, and they got everybody together, gathered their money.
And they took the money and went away to America. I mean, the whole Jews weren't any better than the Germans.
You mean the crooked Jews?
No, they were honest Jews, they took honest money. I mean, you live and you learn all that, you know. But you're 13, 14 years old, you trust everybody, you don't think the Jews are crooks too.
How old were you when you were in the German DP camp? How old was you then?
Early 20s.
Early 20s.
Late teens, early 20s.
Do you know, do you recall the names of this camp in Siberia as well as the DP camp? Do you know the names of the
Do you know the
camps?
name of the camp in Siberia?
I know the town, but not the camp, I don't remember.
What was the town?
One of
Sam-
the camps in Kassel is Milchenberg.
Okay, was that?
I remember the town was Semipalatinsk. Today it's a big town. The Russians send up rockets into the sky.
Oh. Wow.
And they spoke two languages. One was the native, Kazakhstan, and then Russian.
Did you get to a town called Ulm?
Ulm, yeah, that was in Germany. When I came back from Russia, they put me in a town, Ulm, in a DP camp.
And did you get another job after you left the truck pool? Did you get another job for the governor?
Oh yes, I used to drive the governor's private car. I don't remember the name. I used to take his mother shopping.
And did you sometimes, cigarettes was a big commodity.
Yes,
And were people asking you to do some illegal things back then?
yes.
Tell us.
To buy cigarettes in Munich and bring them back to Kassel, the difference was almost $5 a carton.
So the first time somebody asked you to do this, you did it for a few hundred marks?
Yeah, no, the first time I was afraid I didn't do nothing. You know, I had a good job, I didn't want to lose it. But lately I learned, I used to drive an ambulance or a truck to take apart a door, you know, or a panel from the side, unpack the cigarette and pack them in there. But that came after you had more nerve.
So you were able to save a few dollars?
Yes,
Not dollars, but marks.
yes.
So Dad, you were still trying to decide to come to Israel or to Palestine or America, and you reached out, you had family in Palestine, family in America.
But they didn't let you so fast. You had to have a visa. Go to Palestine. England didn't let you in, didn't let in the Jews to Palestine. And America wasn't in a hurry to let you in either. So even if they send you a visa, your uncles, it took again 2 years, 3 years until you had time to travel. With one word, nobody wanted the Jews. The Germans didn't want them, the Poles didn't want them, Russia didn't want them, nobody wanted them. So they sit into the P camps.
So where did you eventually go?
I wound up in America. My uncle from New Jersey, finally I got the visas and I came to America. And I remember I came to America, I arrived on a Saturday I looked, I was able to read German and Yiddish. I looked up the Jewish, they took, that's the day. And I found a job as a mechanic. So I said, Monday I'm going to go to Long Island in a gas station to work. How are you going to go there? I said, nothing. I said, I will look at the map. I'll take the subway, And I did. I got there. I took a test, and I got the job.
Wow.
And how long did you work for the mechanic, the gas station?
6 months, 7 months, I don't remember. But I do remember, he used to pay me $29 a week. So I looked at him, he was Jewish, the owner. English I didn't know, but I said, I don't have to talk to the car in English, I can speak to the car Yiddish. The car understands me perfect. I look at the car and I knew what was wrong and I fixed it. So I say, $20 a week. I said, that's no money at all. I said, it's not enough even to pay for the car fare. I said, I want $29 a day. He said, no. I said, no, then I quit. And I quit, and I opened the shop on the street.
Ah.
Yeah, the first pop-up shop.
He was savvy before his time.
So
Where
the guy
is this?
had a Cadillac. The guy had a Cadillac, smoked, burned oil. So I look at him and I said, I'll fix it. It will look like new and it will turn like new. But I said, I want $500. If I don't fix it good, you don't pay me nothing. And I figured if I fix it for him and it's good, he will call his neighbors. And they had all old cars, 1938, 1939, 1940, because they didn't make new cars. And I knew the cars, like I know my 10 fingers. So I looked at it and I knew what was wrong. And I told him, when he did, those parts. First of all, I changed the spark plugs, the points, the condenser, took the carburetor apart, cleaned it, and I made the car run good.
Yeah, this is 2018. Nobody knows about cars today.
I'm sorry, but at that time it was a big job.
Yeah.
And special to me. You can take a car apart and put it together
Look
again.
around the room, all of these people know spark plugs and points.
It would have been 1949, 1950.
What year did you come to?
1949.
And that's all I have to thank my father, because my father said, whatever you do it well. Don't just play with it, just to get a job for a minute. He said that if you do it well, they always will look for you. And it was true.
But Dad, when you were in the United States, where was your mom and sister?
They were still in camp in Germany.
Because they didn't get a visa.
No,
So it took another
a couple of years.
few years for them to get a visa to come. So the money that you made, you sent to them.
I sent to them, I saved. I opened a bank book. I put away $5 a week, and that was a lot of money.
So eventually you got them to come to America.
Yes. And we got an apartment. Mother got a job, her sister, they worked as finishers in a shop, in sewing. America was very good to me, I can't complain. I went to school, I learned English, not that I learned and I know enough, but I did learn to read and write.
Why did you stop being a mechanic?
Did you ever fix a car? Your hands, your nails, your hair, your head, everything was always in grease, you couldn't wash it clean. So whenever time I went out with a girl, I smelled of oil or gas. So I decided that's not good enough. But it wasn't bad, I made a living.
And what did you do after you stopped being a mechanic?
I think I bought a license at a taxi cab.
how did you meet Mom?
I had a passenger in the car, and it was on a Saturday. I usually on Saturday I used to put on a suit, a white shirt, a tie, because I used to have a date usually. So I didn't go out. We went out to eat, then we went to Radio City or to the Rock City. I went on a date, so I always wanted to be clean and nice dressed.
You had a passenger in the car, what happened?
She worked for a lawyer, her brother. She was a secretary. And she said, next door works a Swiss girl. Do I speak German? I said, yes. And she introduced me. She said she would be a good pair. And she introduced me to her. I met her in February or March, and I got married in September. And I made that well. Fine woman. I have two fine sons.
What town was she from in Switzerland?
What time?
What town? Where's Mom from?
Mom is from Zurich, Switzerland. But I spoke German. I was in Germany. Wherever I was, whatever town, I made my business to go to school because I remember what my father said. Whatever you learn, nobody will ever take it away. It's always be yours. So when I was in Germany, I learned German.
So Dad, when you were driving a cab, did you ever meet anybody famous?
Oh yes, movie actors. One was a Romanian. I don't remember his name.
Edward G. Robinson.
Yeah. Marilyn Monroe I had once.
And did you ever meet Humphrey Bogart?
Yes, I did, with his girlfriend,
Lauren Bacall?
Lauren McCall.
But Dad, you had them in your cab more than once, right?
Yes,
What happened?
I took their autograph all the time.
No, but you became their driver whenever they came to town.
Yes, so I gave my phone number and they called. They called me and they hired me for the day. You know, I had my own cab already, so I didn't work for anybody. So I was able to make with them any appointments I wanted.
But was driving a cab, was it easy, was it dangerous?
I don't know, I didn't look at it as dangerous. I got held up a couple of times, but I didn't get hurt. And I made a good living. The tips were good, and I think it was 25 cents the first quarter of a mile. I mean, you know, and I was skimpy, so I saved. You know, I had to save every day at least a quarter, no matter how much I made.
Did you get held up with a gun?
Yes, in Harlem, 115th Street.
So then you decided not to drive a cab anymore.
Correct. Well, I can't complain. America was very good to me. I have a nice wife, two nice kids. They went to school, they went to college. What do I have to complain? And I didn't starve.
Can you clarify for me, I'm sorry, can you clarify, when you first came to the country, I thought you said your uncle from New Jersey sent for you. So did you live in New Jersey initially, or right?
No, I had two uncles in Jersey.
Okay.
So they invited me for dinner. They bought me a new suit, new shoes, new shirt, tie, and hello and goodbye.
How did they find you? How did they find you?
I found them, they didn't find me. I went to the Hayas,
Yeah.
and they looked up the name. That was my father's brother. So we had the same name.
So after you went on your own, you went to Long Island first to get that job?
It was Queens.
Queens,
Queens.
okay. And is that where you grew up in Queens, or was it the Bronx? I was confused as to
In Queens.
Queens,
The
okay.
job was in Queens, but he went to live in the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
On Knox Place. Moshalo Parkway.
Oh, okay.
What happened to your sister?
She went to South America, got married, and then I brought her here.
She met a man in the DP camp, and they were able to get a visa to South America,
Where? Argentina or Brazil?
Bolivia, yeah.
Bolivia?
Bolivia.
Is she still alive?
No.
So, after the cab, after you gave up driving the cab, did you retire or did you do other work?
I don't remember.
What did you do after the cab?
I don't remember.
You were thinking about buying a business, so you went to work on the Grand Concourse in the store. Do you remember the store?
Alexander's?
Yes.
Oh!
Alexander's.
Why did you want to work in Alexander's?
Because I was thinking of buying a store like that. Will I be able to stay at the store 12 or 14 hours a day and to continue the business?
And where did you buy a business eventually?
Yes, in Stony Brook.
Long Island.
What business?
With one word, I always tried to be independent. I remember my father used to say, you know, a Tischkessel, a drawer and a table, your own is better than the best job. He said you can go and take out a quarter whenever you want, you don't have to ask anybody.
What kind of store did you have?
I had a stationery store and Hallmark cards.
Oh.
I made a good living. Sent his kids to school. They went to college.
So now, where did you two grow up?
We lived in the Bronx till
What?
we lived in the Bronx when we were younger, and then we grew up in Stony Brook.
We moved out in time for my bar mitzvah.
Oh,
We were well off. We had a business, we had a house. You know, from an immigrant, we did pretty well. But what was the name of the rabbi? Rabbi Lebo?
Rabbi Lebo, who became Bill Lebo was the rabbi at the Congregation North Shore Jewish Center in Port Jefferson, New York, and he was eventually the head of the conservative
Of
movement.
the Jewish Theological Seminary.
JTS, yes.
With one word, America was very good to me.
So you were in the store, you had it for 14 years, and what was your routine, Dad? You came in the morning.
I stood until lunch. My wife came with me lunch. I went home for an hour and I ate, watched television. We had a dog, played with the dog, and went back to the store. And at 9 o'clock to close the store, come home, take a shower, go to bed. And that's how I went down, but it wasn't bad.
What was your favorite TV show back then?
I don't know.
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Why was that your favorite?
It was fun to watch people going to the moon. And I believe it will happen one day.
And what did you do after Florida? I mean, what did you do after Stony Brook?
I sold the store, I sold the house, and we moved to Stony Brook.
No, to Tamarack.
To Tamarack. No, it's Tamarack in Florida.
Right.
I bought a house, and we didn't starve. I mean, we always had food in the house. The kids always went to school, and we had 3 cars. I didn't have a car. My wife had a car, and the kids had a car. I used the bicycle.
So you were down in Florida, retired,
Yes.
and how did you spend your time there?
Oh, I worked very hard. I went every morning swimming.
And do you still go swimming now, Dad?
Yes.
Where?
2.
Right here, in the building,
oh, nice.
with Olena,
Oh, yes.
Dad's aide, who speaks also Ukraine and Russian, and they have nice conversations. Yes.
The names of your mother and your sister.
What's your mother's, grandma's name?
Paya.
And Sarah.
Paya and Sarah. P-A-J-A-R. But her married name wasn't Spierer. It was
Schutzman.
Schutzman, yeah.
She remarried here. She remarried in America.
Any other questions?
When did he work in the shoe store?
In the shoe store, when I sold my business, and I got bored sitting around doing nothing. So I went and I got a job in the shoe store. So he said, "You don't know anything about shoes?" I said, "No, but I can learn very fast." I said, "I was the owner of that store." Then they hired me. Eventually, so I'm responsible. So they gave me the keys and they made me the manager of the store because they knew I came in time, opened the store, closed the store on time, took the money, deposited it at the bank. You know, they're not talking with a young girl or a young boy. But one day he did it, the next day he didn't do it, and I got a job with them.
But, yes.
So I just want to clarify a few things. When you said that they got, in Russia, when you had to, in Siberia, when you had to get up early, what was early? It was,
Early
not,
was-
it was not 7 o'clock in the morning.
No, early was when the day started. I used to get up, I had to start the clock, but I also had benefits because when I got up early, I had an extra cup of tea. It wasn't tea, it was keep your talk, only the hot water.
How early, Dad? Was it before the sun rose?
Hmm?
How early? Was it before the sunrise?
No, when the sun started. And I had hot water. Sometimes he gave me a piece of bread or bread what was left from the other day. I mean, it paid to get up.
What was, you said if you would be punished if you didn't do something right. And what was the punishment in the work camp there?
The punishment, they didn't feed you. It was very strict. You didn't work, you didn't get food. It was called payok, ration.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bob, and then I'll.
No, I wanted to ask.
Oh, somebody else?
I wanted to know when, in Russia, your father was, you were working in the forest, you were doing trees. What were your sister and mother doing at that time? And also when you went to the factory, when you asked if you could work at the factory, were all of the workers, were those Russian workers or were they all Polish prisoners?
They were prisoners from Poland, from Russia, from the Ukraine, very Jewish. I didn't meet any Jewish family. One family was another family, Jewish family.
Oh, they were all of it, but they were not, the others were not Jewish.
They were not Jewish, they were Poles, Ukraine officers from the army men.
And where was your mother and sister? What kind of factory was this? And what was
No, what they worked, let's say I was cutting the trees.
Yes.
So a big branch fell down. They hold away the branches and they clear the trees to push it down to the water and it was shipped.
But eventually, when he became the driver's assistant, he asked the camp commander to bring them inside so they didn't have to clear the branches anymore.
I have a question, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. When you were sent to Siberia, was it because you were Jewish or just because you were a bourgeois that they were arresting your father and the family? Or was it Jews in this Siberian camp?
They were Jews, not all Jews, no. Not because I was Jewish, because I was a bourgeois.
Okay.
My father had a store and he employed other people.
Okay, so the camp in Siberia itself had a mixture of all different people. Were there Jews there? Not in the factory, but in the camp?
As far as I remember, there was one family,
Okay.
one woman without a husband. She had a boy of about 10 or 12 and a girl around 8.
Okay, and when you went to school, when they allowed you to go to school, were you like the only Jew? Were there other Jewish children in the schools?
I don't remember seeing
Okay.
any. And if they were, they did not admit
They
it.
didn't announce it.
They did not admit that they are Jews.
Thank you.
And definitely didn't speak Yiddish.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you were living in Poland, were was it a Jewish home? Did you celebrate holidays and raise in a Jewish home? And then did your mother keep you Jewish when you were in Siberia? I mean, did she keep a sense of Jewishness in Siberia?
My mother tried to keep a Jewish house. We had tried to have kosher food, but there wasn't enough food, so we were glad to get any food. And I remember what I learned as a kid. Remember, I went 6 years to Hebrew, so I knew a lot of Jews, and I was able to pray in Hebrew, to lead the prayers. You know, it wasn't like the average Jew didn't know anything.
So did you know when it was Yom Kippur, for
Yes.
example, and did you observe?
I
were you
did
able
know.
to observe?
I was able to celebrate. But there was nothing to celebrate. We didn't have any food anyhow.
You know, as I listen to you, it's almost like my story. I'm 3 years younger, but it's almost identical in every respect. I'm surprised we didn't run into each other along the way. Because I was also in Petropavlovsk, which was in Siberia. I was in Chechen. I was in Kassel. My friends are in Stony Brook. I'm just going through this thing. This is just mind-boggling. Also, my family was arrested. My father and grandfather and my uncle were arrested, also for being capitalists. My family was shipped out also. We went to 4 or 5 weeks traveling on those wagons to Siberia. But because I'm a few years younger, my perspective is a little different because I didn't have to work because I was just a 5-year-old kid at the time. And but I'm just I'm listening to you.
But I was happy to work because when you work, you got
Of course.
a payoff, a ration. You got food rations when you work. So I didn't mind working at all. I was happy to work.
How did you live in Siberia? Did you have a house? Were you in quarters with lots of other people? What kind of bathroom facilities did you have? How did you live, and did you live as a family? And if you didn't, where did your sister and mother live?
When I came to Siberia,
Can you speak into the mic,
city
please?
to Semipalatinsk, I worked in the factory. I was a good worker. I don't know the word Stakhanovets. Stakhanovets is a Russian word for excellent worker.
Yeah.
So I was a good worker, got extra rations, and you know, you didn't think anymore. You only thought you get up in the morning, you go to work, you get your, if you didn't go to work, you didn't get your pay, your ration of food.
Did you sleep in a barracks with other men,
Yes.
or were you in a building with your mother and sister?
I was in, it was a barrack, half underground and half on top of it.
Men and women were separate?
No, the same thing, same barracks. And they were wooden barracks made from branches of wood. And that's how we slept.
Yes.
I wanted to find out whether you had, when you were young in the labor camp, and you interacted with the commandant, was it a communist
Yes.
commandant? And did you hear about the war from a Russian
I
perspective?
did not hear from the war at all.
You
We
didn't know
had-
the Holocaust was going on?
We didn't know anything. We didn't have any newspapers, no radio, nothing. Only if a driver came in and he spoke about it. And he wouldn't speak about it because he was afraid.
When did you first hear about the Holocaust?
In 1946,
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
that's when I was freed from the camp.
So, I don't think that people understand how difficult it was to survive in Siberia. What happened when you became ill? How many people died of hunger?
Thousands of people died. When they took me to camp, we were 82 boxcars cattle cars filled up with people. I would say we were over 1,000 people in those 82 cars. They didn't feed us, they didn't give us water, they didn't let us go to the bathroom. But whoever survived was lucky. The Gentile people, they were families, so they baked bread or something, whatever they could. And I remember what I did. When they stopped on stations, you could go and buy food. So you had to have money. So I devised, I think if I had a $50, 50 ruble, so I would take the 50 ruble and fold it and tear it in the middle. So I showed it like this, but I only gave the half. And the other half I saved. So when I came to another station, I had another 50 ruble. You are laughing.
So you had to live by your wits.
Yeah, you had to live by
And you had a lot of balls.
You die only once.
That's
You don't die twice, you die only once. And that's what it was. If you got away with it, you got away with it. You didn't get away with it, so you didn't get food for 2 or 3 days.
Any other questions? Yes.
So obviously you're very happy with your decision to come to America, to settle in America. Have you been to Israel?
Yes. I have been to Israel.
And what was your feeling there?
Very proud of it because my parents were Zionists. I learned Hebrew when I was a kid. Matter of fact, I still speak Hebrew since I was a kid. So when Israel became self-centered. David, what was self-centered?
Self-sufficient.
And I was very proud of it. I have a cousin in Israel, and Herzliya, Bat Dodi. That's my uncle's daughter. I think I was more proud than any American Jew. Because finally we have a country and we can call home.
So you talk about your father. So I assume that you were very close to him growing up. And what did you do with the knowledge that he was not around? Did you and when the war was over and he was not alive for you to meet again, how did you deal with those emotions?
You asking me? The money what I saved, I always said it's for the kids when they go to college. I said they have to have education. Because I was good in school, and I said, why should my children be good in school if I have a background of learning? So they both went to college. I think David, you went to Stony Brook, right? And you went to Hunter,
Dad, but how did you feel after the war when your father wasn't there?
You accept it, yeah? There's nothing you can do, and life goes on.
And during the war, when you were working, did you imagine that your father would be very proud of when you would see him again, and you told him about all that you had accomplished? Did you imagine that, or did you not?
I didn't imagine it, but I knew in my heart that my father was always proud of me because I always tried to learn a trade or in school. I was never lazy. And no matter whatever it is, I remember I used to say, whatever you learn, nobody can ever take it away. Nobody can go into your head and take away what you learned. So it will always be with you.
Was your wife also a Holocaust survivor, or was she in the country for quite some time?
My wife is born in Switzerland, and she was in the country a couple of years already.
But she was a survivor, so she didn't. They fled. They didn't leave.
Well, Switzerland was a neutral country, so she was in Switzerland for the entire war, and she came to the U.S. after the war.
Her parents were born in Germany, and they had gone to emigrate to Switzerland before the war.
Okay.
My mother was born 1924. In fact, this Sunday's her 94th birthday.
Wow.
And she was born in Switzerland. My father came in 1949, she came in 1952. And then they met and married in 1955.
Wonderful story.
Do you still play chess?
Yes, if I have a partner.
We play when we can.
But
Did you find the Russian people in the camp brutal, or were they kind of just doing their job and keeping you there? Were you beaten? Was it the same kind of brutality that the Nazis perpetrated? Or did you find them just keeping you there and following their orders basically without the brutality? I know you were starved and you were not treated well, but I was curious.
asking me,
Yes, she's asking you, were they brutal guards or were they just doing their job?
most of them were just doing the job.
Did they beat you?
No, only if you misbehaved. They did not beat you.
They didn't get pleasure out of mistreating you. So it seems.
They didn't have to beat you. You were already beaten. No.
Sure.
You know, they took away the piece of bread for the day. That was enough
That's
punishment.
true.
And not only that, they gave you a piece of bread in the morning. It was a half like this. It was frozen. You know, you could swallow it with one swallow. And if you had brains enough, you cut it in 3 pieces. You put 2 underneath your shirt, and one piece you ate. Then you ate in the afternoon and 1 in the evening. You didn't do that, you starved all day.
I was asking because my mother was in Siberia as well, and she had a relative, I can't say a good experience, but she said the Russian people were very kind. She did not have the same sense of brutality as back in Poland, etc. So I just was wondering, because I'm assuming it was a different camp, so.
But they themselves was hungry. They themselves didn't have enough food to eat.
Yeah, that's the difference, because many of the Russians were also in Siberia. They didn't have such a good time.
That's right. Thank you.
With one word, nobody loved the Jews. The Russians, the Polish, the Greek, didn't make any difference. Whoever could take advantage of you took advantage. They could take away your clothes, they stole your shoes from your feet when you slept, you know. But you know the saying, a Jew gets a hanetza. You know what that means?
Yes.
He finds a solution to everything, and he makes the best of it. It's like a man goes without shoes. In winter it's cold. So another guy says, take a look, how can he manage? So he says, look at the next guy, he has no feet. So,
Are there any other questions? Well, I want to thank you both, Alan and Saw. This was fascinating, and it's a glimpse of the kind of experience that we don't usually hear about. And
But which, from memory and history this year, we'll address.
we'll address it, yes. And I have read the book, and I would recommend it to everybody. It's a very good read.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Long life.